let's look to the teachings of Christ on this subject, because that is essential. Christ uses the analogy of the tree and its fruits. Fruits are another illustration of works. And in Matthew 7:16 through 20, Jesus teaches, "Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns, or figs of thistles? Even so every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit." You see, he's establishing that certainly the fruit doesn't make the tree good or bad. The state of the tree, whether the tree is good or bad, makes the fruit good or bad. But it's still an essential aspect of the process in determining whether the tree is good or bad. You look to the fruit to determine whether the tree is good or bad. The fruit does not make the tree good or bad, but you can tell by looking at the fruit whether the tree is good or bad. And he goes on to say, "Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them." And I think, in keeping with that illustration, why does a farmer plant a tree? He plants a tree for the fruit. In the same way, when God regenerates a man, he does so because the good fruit that comes as a result is glorifying to him. And when we go back to Paul's original statement that we read in Ephesians chapter 2, "For by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast." And in the following verse he says, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them." And it's this same idea, that the farmer plants the tree because he knows the fruit that comes forth from it will work to his purposes. God plants a good tree because he knows the good fruit that comes forth will work to his glory. Just as I discussed earlier, there are so many people who falsely believe that their works or their fruit will attain them salvation, and that is not the case. But unfortunately, there are very many people, especially among those who call themselves Christians, that they believe fruit has nothing to do with their salvation, and that regardless of what fruit they bear, they can rightly call themselves Christians who are saved and in right standing with God. This is a mistake. If you read the New Testament, if you read the Gospels, if you read any of the epistles, you cannot come away with that understanding. Yet there are many who believe it to be true, that somehow making certain mental assents that Jesus is Lord and putting a belief in Christ, that these things are all there is to salvation, that if you've done a couple of things, check them off the list, that you're saved. And regardless of what sort of fruit is produced by your life, you can call yourself Christian because you've done these few things. And that is simply not the case. Jesus himself talks about how people will come to him on that day, calling him Lord, and that he will say, "Depart from me, ye worker of iniquity. I never knew you." And there will be some who come to him, many, he says, that call him Lord. They've made that assent that he is Lord. They call him their Lord. And in fact, they can check off some good things they've done for him. But he will turn to them and say, "I never knew you, ye worker of iniquity." We know from James, the brother of Jesus, that there is such thing as a dead faith. He talks about faith without works being dead. And in James chapter 2, verse 18 through 20, he says, "Show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. You believe that there is one God. You do well. And to go back to what I was saying, there are a lot of people who have certain beliefs, and they think, well, hey, I believe there's one God. I believe Jesus is the Son of God. Well, let's continue. James says, even the demons believe this. So you see, even the devil believes that Jesus is the Son of God, and that he died for mankind on the cross. It's not going to achieve salvation just to believe certain things. A saving faith is more than just a set of beliefs. A saving faith brings forth good works. That's how you can identify that the tree has been made right, that the tree has been made good, by looking at its fruit. Having good fruit will not save you, but if you're saved, you will have good fruit. This is the teaching of the gospel. This is the teaching of Christ.